What's up, everyone? So I do want to address this very game that's supposed to be the Zimmerman Park game. And after my thorough review, it turns out that I didn't need the 2 overtimes for me to get the win. It turns out I actually did win because I made a miscount on the floaters, because I thought I made 4 consecutive. I actually made 5 consecutive, if I'm not mistaken. So I was down 8 and 12 on, I think it was the first part of the activity, where I needed to make the under the basket layups. So I was down 8 and 12, if I'm not mistaken. Or sorry, second activity where I had to make the layup plus the mid-range for me to earn 2 points. Otherwise, if I had missed either a layup or the mid-range, it was going to be 2 points on the target score. So I was down 8 and 12 before the third part of the activity, happened, which was the custom LM3F, which was floaters, mid-range 3, and under the basket layups, right? So it turns out that so I was down 8 and 12 and I missed the layup, right? So when I got to the third part of the activity, I made a floater that cuts it to 10 and 12, another one to tie it at 12 and 12, and then 14 and 12 and 16 and 12. So I had 5 consecutive floater attempts. 5 consecutive floater attempts, with the 5th one that I missed. So it turns out I made 4 straight and not 3 straight. So that was my mistake, because I was already up 16 and 12. I was up 4 and before I missed, which cut it to a 2-point lead that I had, 16 and 12. So that being said, when it got down to the final part of the activity, which was one of the harder ones, or if not the hardest, which was making the layup plus a 3-point shot to equal it to 3 points. Otherwise, if it was a miss on the layup or a 3, that would have been 3 points for the target score. And it turns out I made my first 3. So I was a 1 out of 1. And then I ended up being up 19 and 14. And so what I didn't realize was that I was already up by 5. And then somehow it kept going. I called a timeout. I used up both timeouts. And I missed all 4 of my free throws. So so after the first timeout, I already attempted another 3. Because I was up, I missed. So that only cut it to 2, 19 and 17, before I called my second timeout, and I missed another pair of free throws. And after that, I think it was just 1 second left, and that was where I actually won. So I won that game, right? That was actually the win. That was the victory. So, that already got me to 4 straight wins, in general. I won another home game. So that being said, I didn't need the 2 overtimes. Now, I did review the other 2 games, and for the most part, the numbers were accurate. Yes, I know that there was an overtime on that if I were to make this a separate game, right? And that last 3, after I had the offensive rebound, I called it to look like an out of bounds because I thought it didn't hit iron, but it turns out it did barely hit it. It looked like it didn't even hit iron at all. So that was ruled an out of bounds from what I saw. So right at the buzzer, it looked like it looked more like it was out of reach on the, it didn't even hit iron. It didn't even touch the backboard from what I thought I saw. So that being said, I had to reset the clock to 3 seconds. And I thought about attempting the 3 for a second overtime, but instead it became, I decided to go for a 4. Yeah, I know it sounds like a crazy decision because I didn't want to miss out on coffee bean. And Armando's not even here today, so, I can be out as much as I want. Just kidding. So, yeah, I gave it so much time, like just waiting and trying to prepare for a much better look on the 4-point shot. So I remember last Friday, that very, just the past Friday, I was in that very same home court for the hardest game, which was to shoot nothing but threes for what appears to be that the only threes game, moving target score game. And remember, I needed a 4 because I had no choice. I was down 2. I briefly had the lead. That was the only lead I had, which was at 28 and 27, and then I missed the 4, which had a good look, but I missed, so I lost the game that time. Here, I actually attempted a 4, after waiting so damn long. And I thought about going to the same spot, which I kind of did. I leaned a little bit to the left, so I did that. I think I was actually like right in the center. So it had 3 seconds, and then after that, here I go. I tried to be so quick, and I attempted it, and boom. Clutch, bucket, clutch. I haven't made those in a while. I did, as a matter of fact, before this one, I actually hit a clutch. What was it? Excuse me. I actually hit a clutch a free throw to send it to overtime, and then that was. And then in that overtime, that was when I nailed what I thought was to be a 4-point shot. When I reviewed it, it was kind of hard to tell, so I did kind of lean toward the left, and from there, I had to measure it, and it was official. It was a 4. So I definitely won it at the buzzer. Wow, I haven't made that in forever. When you're talking about 3-point buzzer beating shots. Hell, how come Steph hasn't made one yet? He was that close. He's made some, like 2 really close ones that were like, with 0.1 second left. That's not actually buzzer beating shots, but they are clutch shots, but they're not, actual buzzer beating shots, like to win the games. Hell, I haven't seen him nail one to actually tie the game to go into overtime on a 3-point shot. I've seen a walk-off shot from him. What was it? Against what was it? Yeah, the Rockets. The Rockets that sucked before Ime Udoka took over. Right? That was the walk-off mid-range shot that he made, and to win the Warriors up by 2. But I could have sworn by now. I was like, man, I still have not seen Steph make a single 3-point buzzer-beating shot to either tie the games to overtime or just win it. He was close, though. He was close. He had with under seconds left. It didn't really sound at the buzzer, but yeah. I mean, Dame has already made about several of those in his career, regular season and playoffs. A couple of them in the playoffs. So when I looked at this shot, man. Hell, even Dame made one against against Sacramento when he was already a Milwaukee Buck. Whew, Dame time, baby. I could have pressed on the watch and hit Dame time right there after this shot, but I had to review it. But I always thought about Steph and making that shot. So, anyways, man. I mean, it's like I always feel like I'm in Steph mode because of how many threes I'd make. But man, even when I make the last shot, like I thought about him for some reason. It could have been Dame if it had to, because he's already made several of those buzzer beating 3-point shots, right? But yeah, I just wish Steph could just make one. I'm talking about literally one before he retires. He's got about 10 more years, So, as I now that I've reviewed all these games, especially the supposed double overtimes that weren't needed, here's what I'm gonna do. So, the first part of the game where I literally won after my thorough review, I won by 2, 19-17. So that's one game right there. Okay, that's one home game. I won that one. That was the Zimmerman Park game, right? So what's going to happen is for the second one that I've done, assuming that I started 0-0. So when I do that review, especially when I do the edit for it, so that's going to be a separate game. That's going to be a separate home game happening on the same, happening on the same day, which means that one also counts as a home win. So that's 2 separate home wins. Okay. So that one right there is also going to be the Zimmerman Park game. But so now that I've done that separate game, which is like the second part where I thought it was part of the double overtime, I'm gonna do the same thing. When I explained it about where I would do the layup plus mid range and then the 3 to get to 2 points, or if I miss either one of the 2, it was going to be 2 points for the target score, and then the 3 points, and then the 2 free throws, and then it'll rotate to a floater plus the mid range for 2 points, and 3, and then two free throws. I'm going to do the same thing when I go back to Zimmerman Park. I still got one more game in Zimmerman Park, so when I make one more visit, that's gonna complete the that's gonna complete the series, which will be four games. Some are gonna be 3, some are gonna be 4. As much as possible, what I like to do for this year's shoot around season is basically just turn it into what it's like for the NBA, where when you're facing a certain team, like from your conference, it's either 3 or 4 games, whereas in the East it's 2 games only. I'm still trying to work it out how I do it here. Right now it's still experimental on that part of the game, as far as how many times I would visit a certain park. So Glacier Park I did 3 times, 2 on the road and 1 at home. And Jim Edwards I did all 4. The Del Valle Park, it seems like I did all 4. No, actually it was only 3. So and then here at Zimmerman Park it's going to be 4. So that second part that I did, where that was the 2 separate home wins, that I'm gonna take that very same one, the second game, which is the separate one, and use that very same one going into Zimmerman Park when it's supposed to be sometime later this month. So when I head back, I'm gonna be doing that very same game, the one where I did the separate. So that way, it'll be complete. So my record now, because I had 67 wins after winning in Sunshine Park last Wednesday. So the first game, the Zimmerman Park game, where I won 19-17, that one got me to 68 wins. And that separate one, as I was going to make it, where I thought it was going to be the double overtime game, right? That one's going to be a separate win as well, at home, same day. So it is now 2 wins, and I now have 69 wins. I'm 69-29, baby. So you can count that. You can put that in the books. And my next game will be right back at home. I was supposed to be on Monday after work again. So we'll see. That may be subject to change depending on on the speculations that I may be getting another big break. So that being said, this is all I got to talk about. This is all I'm going to discuss. And by the way, before I close this out, so it turns out one of the guys that commented on that video I made about Gil's Arena possibly like being over due to Gil's after what Gil went through with the gambling thing. There was an episode that aired, and I saw it was premiered. I'm like, oh, so is it back for season 4? So it is official. The show is back on. I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to watch, any new episodes coming up. And this is I'm supposedly season 4, I would assume. And Stephen A makes his guest appearance. So I can't wait, man. Gil's Arena is already back. So that being said, y'all have a nice rest of your Friday. And just let me know what you think. I'm glad to see Gil's Arena back. So anyways, peace out.